Giada's lets you, your family, and friends share an authentic Italian experience with a twist. Everything is better by the stone oven at Giada's. Check out our lunch specials and more. Giada's, 210 North Main Street in Kernersville. We love sports.
Joe Louis, the greatest boxer ever lived.
Not only do we love sports, but we love to debate sports.
He was bad in Captain Clay. He bad in Sugar Ray. He bad in that. Who that? The new boy has Mike Tyson. Look like a bulldog. He bad at him too. He done whipped Mike Tyson ass. He whipped all their ass.
For the best sports analysis in the Triad.
What about Rocky Marciano?
In-depth local coverage of your favorite schools and teams.
Let me tell you something. One fall, Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
And of course, the best sports debate in the Triad.
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Welcome to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
You're welcome.
I don't know how old he was. They got it at.
Are you looking for the next best soul food spot to please your palate? What if I told you there's one right under your nose? Welcome to Taste of the Triad, located in the old Bell Brothers Cafeteria, location at 4320 Old Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem. Authentic Southern comfort food in a family atmosphere. At Taste of the Triad, you can have Sunday dinner anytime. Baked chicken, fried chicken to order, the best meatloaf in the Triad, ribs, baked mac and cheese, and more. Check out Sunday Smackdown with beef and pork ribs, smoked turkey legs, collard greens, yams, and much more. Are y'all hungry yet? Did I even mention the live music on Sundays? Comfort soul food in the heart of the Triad. Taste of the Triad. 4320 Old Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem. Check out the menu at tasteofthetriad.com.
They looking for the smoke, but we ain't hot. We ain't hot. We ain't hot. So they looking for the smoke, but we ain't hot. We ain't hot. We ain't hot. We body. We body. We soldiers. We soldiers. We body. We body. We soldiers. We soldiers. They can't hold us. They can't hold us. It's all you. It's all you. It's all you.
And welcome back into another brand new edition of Wednesday Night Lights, your weekend or weekday show midweek that catches you up on everything high school football related here in the Triad. Desmond Johnson, JP Mundy in the house, and got a couple things we're going to clip into. We're here with you for about 30 minutes here. You can listen to this broadcast on tobaccoroadsportsradio.com live right now. A couple of announcements we needed to make before we get into the heart of everything. Tomorrow, if you want to be a part of Franchise Players, you can come out to the Carolina Classic Fair. We'll actually be at the WTOB Triad. There we go. Well, internet issues going on here. That'll be tomorrow at, I think it's 6:30 p.m. and that's at the Carolina Classic Fair in Winston-Salem, going on from now through the end of the week. So I think one of the segments we're going to have, you'll be able to ask questions from the crowd to us on the panel that are sports related. So, you know, a lot of stuff going on right now. Panthers just traded for Stephon Gilmore. Hornets are in training camp right now. Wake Forest is undefeated. So there's a lot of stuff out there that I'm sure people want to ask questions about and do this, that, and the third. I don't believe JP's going to be with us, but Hot Rod Funderburg's supposed to be in the house. Ryan Stone's supposed to be in the house. And Coach Josh Resignalo of the Carolina Cobras, the head coach of the Carolina Cobras, he's going to walk over from the Cobras station and sit down. So we'll have a full panel. Bob Scarborough over at WTOB told me they'll have a wireless mic out in the crowd so you can ask questions or whatever in the third segment. It should be fun. So definitely, if you're at the fair on Thursday, come check us out. And we'll be doing Franchise Players over there. I wanted to go back first, JP, and give quick recaps on the games that we were at on Friday. I know you were at a very tight contest out in Greensboro between Greensboro, Dudley, and Smith. How did that go? Actually, JP, I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you. Are you on mute or anything? You might have to refresh and come back in. So we'll start back with JP here in just a bit. Technology, it's awesome when it works, and it's not awesome when it doesn't work. So we'll wait for JP to come back in. JP was doing the call of Dudley versus Smith. Let's see. He's still waiting to get back in. JP, just hit F5 on your computer and then go all the way back in, and I'll probably fix the problem. So JP's working on that. Just refresh your computer completely. Just hit F5. You know what I mean? And like go all the way out. Yeah, there you go. So he'll be back with us in just a bit. Meanwhile, me and Ryan Stone were out in Clemens at the Village. It was homecoming night for West Forsyth as they took on Glenn. Both teams were undefeated in Central Piedmont Conference play. Glenn left with the victory. It was a really good game. A lot of back and forth. My opinion, Glenn may be, well, they are a top team in the conference. They've got some things they got to clean up in terms of, there was a stretch, I believe in the second quarter on a Glenn drive where Glenn's offense committed like 5 false starts in a row or something crazy like that. That kind of stuff they're going to have to clean up before they see East Forsyth later on in the month. But other than that, I was really impressed with Glenn, especially their offensive game plan coming in. Camden Coleman, their quarterback who's been injured for the past month, he got injured in the Glenn versus Chambers game. He actually played for the first time in about a month and made his presence known immediately with like a 50-yard pass on his first pass attempt of the game down the field. Glenn's a completely different football team when they are with Coleman. When they're with Coleman, they're pretty much a threat. They can hang with pretty much anybody. And I've seen them now against Julius Chambers, which is the number 2 ranked team in the entire state, which we'll get to in a bit. And now I've seen them against West Forsyth. So, they 2 top 25, top 30 teams in the country, and they've done pretty well. They're 1-1 against those. Not sure what's going on with the audio with JP. I don't know if he can hear me. Can you hear me, JP? You can hear me, but we can't hear you at all. So I'm not sure what the situation is. We're working on it here. You're not muted or anything, so you know what? On StreamYard, make sure the mic you've selected on StreamYard is your actual USB mixer, because it might have flipped over to something else. So down at the bottom where it says Cam Mic, we'll have to edit all this out. Go down, you see down at the bottom, the little gear thing that says Cam/mic. Hit that, and it'll pop open a menu. Go to audio and make sure your mic is the USB mixer or whatever it is that you got hooked up into your, wherever your mic is. And that's probably what it is. Still don't hear anything. No. Did you hit the menu? Go. Where's my camera? Yeah, go down to the Cam mic thing and select your mic. This is not, I don't understand what is happening here.
Testing this.
No, I'm good to go here. Hold on. Well, now you're muted, but yeah. I can't unmute you. You muted it. It says your mic isn't connected. I see what you're doing. Are you connecting to a different mic or? Live TV. Live video right here for everybody. Still can't hear you. You should be able to hear yourself. Can you not hear yourself? Mm-mm. The only thing I would suggest is to refresh again, but it should have picked up your stuff. I don't know how you have it hooked up over there on that side. I heard you in the very beginning when you first came in. Mm-mm. Do you have a way to just let's see what happens here, because I don't know if he's coming back or not. Bear with us just a bit. Looking to see if we're gonna be able to complete this episode today or not. If not, I'll give you a rundown on the high school power poll for this week and the player of the athlete as well. So stick around.
Bro, tell me you can hear me.
There you are. Okay. So try to figure this out because we're about halfway through the show. I didn't do anything,
Right,
but yeah, you can.
That's fantastic.
well, I'll get back to Glenn and Wes in just a bit, but real quick, it really probably shouldn't take very long. Give me your experience, Dudley versus Smith on Friday night.
The food smelled good. The food smelled good, and you know, the Smith is limited in numbers. They've got a bunch of guys that are playing both ways. They need help, and they need dudes. Dudley does not. They've got plenty of them, and it was 64-6 at halftime. And I don't know that they should have played the second half. I understood. I think they, you know, they went and played 2 8-minute running quarters. I guess for the sake of competition, that kind
I've
of.
never even heard of that. I've never even heard of that before.
But the problem
deciding
is
at the half.
that,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a heck of a decision. But then you're kicking the ball to Dudley to start the half, and they scored on the first play. And it was 72 to 6. So, you know, it wasn't that long ago where Smith and Dudley used to be a great rivalry. And, you know, even Coach Davis at Dudley said that, you know, it's a great rivalry, and it's even better when both schools were playing well football wise. But I was really impressed with Dudley because, you know, while they were expected to win, they didn't do a lot of the things that they're kind of unfortunately known for, which is sometimes a lot of penalties, mental mistakes. None of that. They executed 100%. They executed well, and you know I think they had 8 players score 9, 10 different touchdowns.
Gosh.
I think 8 players scored 10 touchdowns. It was amazing to watch.
Was it homecoming? It was homecoming for Dudley that night, or
it was not homecoming. It felt like homecoming, but I think they had already done homecoming. This was just the rivalry game, and you know, food smelled good, band played well, and we had fun like we normally do at the Tarp. It was just a kind of a mismatch.
I mean, it feels like the past couple of weeks when I've sent you and Ryan Stone out to a game, you guys are home by like 9:30. Like it feels like the ones that you guys have done.
Yeah, we're the angels of death right now. The only good
they'll
game
show up.
The only good game that we've had is Page Mount Tabor, and that even that started to break open a little bit in the fourth quarter. Our first game was 56-0.
It was right? Grimsley and who?
Grimsley and Clayton. Grimsley and Clayton.
And Clayton was a 3A runner up or something the year before. Yeah, but they lost a lot of kids. So
they had 2 starters returning total.
Meanwhile, Grimsley brought back like everyone.
And I'm sorry. And we had a really good game the next week we had Grimsley and Reagan, and that was a good game at Reagan. And as we have found out, we know why now, because Reagan is right up there. But then we got sent to Northern at Ragsdale, and Northern just destroyed Ragsdale. And that was Weddington was a close game, but both teams ran the ball. Yeah, so we were done at 9:01. But Angel of Death tour began with Ragsdale Northern. Then last week was 72-6 at Dudley. This week you're sending me to senior night at Grimsley.
Yes.
Versus
Grimsley
Ragsdale.
versus Ragsdale. Yeah.
So
classic Greensboro Jamestown rivalry there.
There's no rivalry. Yeah, it's not going. This game is at Grimsley. It's senior night for Grimsley, and unfortunately, it's going to be extra emotional because Coach Darrell Brown's grandfather, Coach Seiler, passed away today. Today or yesterday, and the stadium at Southern Guilford is named after him. So it's going to be an emotional time for the Brown family. So I would expect it to be another rout. But the caveat with Ragsdale is that they got a bunch of sophomores who are playing right now, and they're pretty good dudes. I mean, they're good. And I think with the experience, they're just going to get even better. It might just not be their night Friday night. So I have no idea where you're sending us next, but God help.
I was about to pull up the schedule because we've been having to flex a little bit over the past couple of weeks. This is one of the few weeks where we actually stayed on the schedule as we had it when we first built it back in August. If I go look at the schedule, and you can. Yeah.
Can I say something real quick? Because
Yeah.
I found this interesting, and I'm going to hear about it if I don't mention this a little bit. Do you know who Dudley wanted to talk about? Dudley didn't want to talk about anybody else, and didn't want to talk about anybody in 3A. They wanted to talk about Grimsley.
Really?
They asked me. That was the first question members of their coaching staff asked me. You know, and that's how Dudley does. They want to measure themselves amongst the best programs in the city.
You mean like asking, you know, how's Grimsley doing? What's up to them? Coach questions.
Can they really play? Who do you think is better? Blah, 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 that kind of thing. So,
well, you've done 2 Dudley games now, right? This season.
I've done one Dudley game.
One Dudley game. So you've seen Dudley up close once, and you've seen Grimsley
twice?
3 times. Yeah, because you did at Grimsley Northwest Guilford a couple weeks, or actually the week before. Can you answer that question? Like, what do you think between Grimsley and Dudley? Because they're not going to see each other.
Hard to say. Size-wise, they're the same. Athletically, maybe the same. But it comes down to one team has Alonzo Barnett and the other does not. And that's not – I mean, they've got Mekhi Wall over at Dudley, and he's excellent. I like Jameer Slade at quarterback, but there's a reason that Alonzo's going to JMU, and he's going to probably start at JMU sooner rather than later. So I think that they would put on a whale of a game if they got to play one another, which is not going to happen. But
yeah.
I think they're close. It would be great to see. But just from sample size, I've seen Grimsley 3 times, and Ryan would kill me if I just said otherwise. But Grimsley's the best team I've seen.
Yeah, I mean,
they have Alonzo Barnett and nobody else does.
Yeah, and that kid's great. I've watched him grow over the past 2 years now. Even from spring season to now, it feels like he's gotten even more confident with them winning the 4A state championship. It says you're supposed to go to Northwest Guilford next week, Ragsdale at Northwest Guilford, as your tour of the Metro 4A continues. But that might get flexed out to something else. So we'll see what's going on.
Northwest at any time.
Yeah, so we'll see. You got after that Paige at Grimsley, which is always a good one, and Paige is actually decent this year. So
Paige got better in a hurry.
Yeah. Shout out to the Pirates. And then it looks like on the WCOG side, it says Dudley at Eastern Guilford, but I know that we're flexing that to Grimsley at Northern, which will probably, if everything goes according to plan, they'll both be undefeated going into that game, and it'll be winner take all. For the Metro 4A, and probably a really, really high seed in the state playoff. So that game's going to have a lot of things attached to it. We have Davie at Mount Tabor this Friday. Forsyth County, the Central Piedmont Conference has got some drama going on right now. I don't even know where to begin. Tabor was supposed to play East Forsyth on Friday. They told them early in the week they couldn't play the game due to COVID. So neither one of them played Friday. My understanding is, without going too deep into the weeds of it, one team wants to play, the other team is kind of non-committal. So in a way, it may.
That's not what I heard. I heard
what did you hear?
My understanding is that neither team wants to play that game.
No, that is false. I was with the East Forsyth people yesterday for the Nest. And they want to play the game. They were trying to get it scheduled for this upcoming Tuesday. And Tabor told them they couldn't play it because they wouldn't have enough kids. But that doesn't make a lot of sense because they're playing Davie 3 days before. So not sure how that's supposed to play out. I don't know what's going to happen in the end with all of that. But I will say that if they don't play that game, because Tabor's 2-1 in the conference, so is East Forsyth. If they don't play that game, they had decided to crown the winner based off a conference win percentage. So if you're missing games, this is the West Forsyth scenario from the spring. West was 2-1. They missed 2 weeks because of COVID. They didn't play Glenn. They didn't play East Forsyth. And because of it, East and Glenn had higher win percentages than them in conference, and they went to the playoffs, and West did not go through no foul of their own. So that could happen here, except it would be them deciding not to play the game, which I can't figure out because if Tabor's got a shot to win this conference, they would need this game just as much as East Forsyth does. The problem is right now, East is playing Parkland this Friday, and they're playing Reynolds next Friday. So if they wanted to play multiple games in a week, this would probably be the sweet spot of their schedule to do it because they got Glenn coming up after that, and they play West the following week. So they got their home versus Glenn, and then they have to go on the road in Clemens to West for the final week of the season. And I think the fear is that they're going to get asked to play that Tabor game somewhere in between Glenn and West Forsyth, which they're up for it. It's just not the best case scenario, having to run through that gauntlet like that in a 7-day stretch or whatever. But my understanding is that the East Forsyth side still wants to play that football game. So we'll keep them posted. I don't know what's going to happen, but right now I'm not sure if it's going to.
Hopefully it all works out, or if it doesn't, who are the schools left that have not lost games in that conference?
Really, yeah, that matters. Parkland and West have lost the game.
What I meant was the schools that matter. As far as
well, West has missed one because they're supposed to play Parkland 2 weeks ago. But Snow said Monday, remember on Titans Talk, I thought he said that Parkland may forfeit that game, which would go as a win to West. So it'd be like they played. So that's not the same as a no contest. A no contest would be the game just never happened.
I don't know if he said that on air, big dog. I don't know if he said that on air. It might have been after.
Well, I mean, it's still up in there. I mean, that's one of two ways it can go. They can either forfeit the game or they can make it a no contest. And right now we don't know. We don't know what they're going to do.
Also, wasn't there a meeting today of the CPC coaches or athletic directors?
I think it was today or yesterday. They all met for their monthly meeting. I haven't talked to any of the athletic directors in the CPC yet to see, because they were trying to come up with some rules as to what was going to happen. And that was actually part of our conversation off camera or off mic with Coach Willard yesterday. He was kind of filling us in on some stuff that he was hoping they discussed during that meeting, because they have to have some kind of resolution to the East Forsyth Mount Tabor thing. And I'm assuming it came from that meeting. So I don't know what's going to happen with that yet.
So, but here's the thing for East Forsyth. If they don't play Mount Tabor and they win out, they're fine. And that's what
because Glenn hasn't missed any conference games. So if Glenn, actually, I take that back. You're right. Because if they win out, that means they beat Glenn.
Means they beat Glenn. So but what I'm saying is that.
But does that give them a higher win percentage?
But it doesn't matter, because they're taking 2 automatic bids. It might matter for seeding.
It might matter for seeding, yeah. I mean, if I would seem like East, I'd much rather host a couple of games than have to go to Charlotte.
It's what Coach Snow has talked about on Titans Talk. It's what Josh McGee has talked about on Raiders Report. He wants to know. They all say you control what you can control, and if you win out, there's no problem.
Yeah,
there's no problem. That's
pretty much what the East Forsyth coaches say.
If especially Reagan, who has already beaten East Forsyth, if they've lost to Glenn, they've beaten East Forsyth, they win out, they're fine. West Forsyth has lost to Glenn, but hasn't played East Forsyth yet. If they win out, then they're okay, right? So
let me look at the conference standings, because some of those teams that you just mentioned have 2 losses already in the conference. And
who is Reagan lost to in the conference?
They lost to Davie?
Glenn.
They lost to Glenn. I think they lost to Davie.
No, they beat the brakes off Davie.
They did. That was what, last week before last? Because Davie's going to hit a little rut. Let's say football, Central Piedmont. They might be 2-1 then.
East Forsyth opened the CPC with a loss to Reagan.
Right.
Reagan lost their second game against Glenn.
Here we go. I got some standings here. So let's see. East is 4-1. Glenn's 4-1. Reagan's 3-3. Reagan has lost to, who's Reagan lost to?
Myers Park and one other big school. Grimsley.
Grimsley,
Reagan lost to Grimsley and Myers Park.
So who was the CPC team they lost to?
They lost to Glenn.
Glenn, that's right. Okay, so they've lost 1 in conference. East has lost 1 in conference. West has now lost 1 in conference.
Correct.
Tabor's lost 1 in conference.
Correct.
So there's a 4-way log jam at the top of the CPC. And that's kind of back to my original point, where Glenn, they haven't missed any conference games, but the other 3 have, between Tabor, East, and West. Depending on what happens at West and Parkland, that's one thing. But the East Mount Tabor thing might actually affect the top of the conference. So in a way, they kind of got to play it, in my opinion. Like, I just saw Reidsville play 3 games in like 8 days and win all of them. Like, they averaged 40-something points on all of them. They had to come to Walkertown,
That's because,
and they got it all in.
Yeah, they got it all in, but they could play their JVs and beat some of these varsity teams they're playing.
I wouldn't go say that, but yeah.
I'll
I wouldn't go
say
say
it.
anything.
I mean, that's just the luck of the draw.
Reidsville's built different. They got a middle school football program, and those kids know the program.
You know, here's the credit. Everybody talks about, oh, Reidsville has it easy, but you know what? When they get to the playoffs, they beat the heck out of everybody there too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it ain't. I always bristle when people say stuff like that. They've won 22 state championships. None of that's easy. Like, it's not easy to win a state championship in football. And to do it, I think they're 3-time back-to-back champs or something right now, or something crazy.
They've won 2 of the last 3. I know that.
Yeah. So I mean, Reidsville is Reidsville. Matter of fact, you really did. Let's go. I mean, we can segue into the power poll for this week. It came out today. I didn't even pull out the. There wasn't any change except for at the bottom, and that had to do with that Glen West Forsyth game. Grimsley still undefeated at 6-0. They're number 1. East Forsyth 4-1 on the year so far. Their only loss this season to Reagan. They're at number 2 still. Northern Guilford, probably the surprise of the trial. I don't think any of us had Northern Guilford undefeated at the halfway mark, and looking pretty good as they do it. They're at number 3. Those Reidsville Rams, football capital of North Carolina, they come in at number 4 after, again, playing 3 games in 8 days because they were off for 2 weeks because of COVID protocol. They got all those games in, and now they get a little 3-day rest before they have to play on Friday. They're at number 4, and it was West Forsyth at 5. Them losing to Glen at home, homecoming actually, vaults Glen into the top 5 again, where they were a couple of weeks ago. And I just happened to go and look at the North Carolina overall high school football rankings on Max Preps just to kind of see if there were any area teams that are ranked fairly high. And I was actually surprised. Huff is number 1. They're 6-0. They beat Chambers, I think, last week or week before last. That dropped Chambers to number 2. Myers Park is 3. Glen comes in at number 4 in the state, all across all classifications. East Forsyth is, Grimsley is sitting at 5. East Forsyth is at 6, and then Reagan actually with a 3-3 record sitting at number 13. So that's ahead of Weddington, Northern Guilford.
That's nice for that poll, but what's starting to matter now is the RPI. And Nick Stevens from High School Overtime posted all the RPI ratings for all the fall sports earlier today, I believe. So I think if you go to the High School Overtime
yeah, I'm looking
website,
for it now. Mid-season RPI rankings. Let's see what we got. Because you're right. That's going to really help determine seeding and
that determines like who else from the if the CPC gets 3 schools in.
So they have it divided out. They have it divided out by class and region. So all of the good teams are in the 4A West, like all of them. So that's the hugest problem. So I go over here, as it stands right now, Chambers is in 1st, Huff is in 2nd. And actually, you know what? I should probably, well, I don't know if I can even describe it. There's a formula they're using for this. It has to do with your record, your opponent's record, and your opponent's records. And that's how they kind of figure out the RPI. So Chambers is in 1st. Huff is in 2nd. Marvin Ridge is in 3rd. Grimsley is 4th. Glen is 5th. East Forsyth comes in at 7th. West Forsyth is 10th. Northern Guilford 11th. Reagan is actually at 16. Davie at 17. Tabor at 21. It's all these Forsyth schools. Jeez.
Yeah.
And then actually Page is at 27. Yeah. So I mean, and most of those teams were CPC teams. So I mean, oh boy, October is going to be awesome. October is going to be great because
Reagan's got what West Forsyth this weekend.
Yep.
Friday night.
Yep. Reagan's got West Forsyth, and then they got Parkland after that, and they got to go to Clemens to play West Forsyth. You know, West is going to be ready to handle business after losing homecoming the week before.
That game's always just a dogfight. It's so physical.
I'm surprised. You know, I was talking down about Davie. Davie's actually going to be our WTOB game of the week. They're playing Mount Tabor, 4-2, but 1-2 in the conference. They've lost their last 2 conference games, large actually, 52-14 last week to that Reagan team, and before that just got shelled by East Forsyth 59-21 the week prior. But coming into that East Forsyth game, Davie put up 73 points on Reynolds the week before that. So, I mean, they can score. The knock on them has always been their defense, and they just kind of ran into two buzzsaw teams.
They can't stop anybody right now.
Yeah, now
they've got a bunch of talent. So
we'll see. Because like I said, they're ranked number 13. They're ranked 13th in the state, but in the football RPI, they're at 16. How many of these teams are getting in? Because there's how many teams get in? 64?
You'll get
or 32 from the West. So your cutoff is McDowell is at number 32 right now. Southeast Guilford makes the cut. Page makes the cut.
You can't go by that because some of these guys are in the same conference.
So well, Joe Sura told me that there's no limit to how many teams can get in from a conference. So
no, but there's two.
Like the CPC can get 4 teams in, but there's 2 automatic bids.
There's 2 automatic bids. So what I'm saying is that you can't really go by and say, okay.
I see what you're saying.
Here's your.
So I guess we have to figure out how many. So how many at-large bids would there be? Because that's where you can really kind of figure it out. How many? Well, I guess we have to figure out how many conferences are in the Class 4A West. Basically, what we're saying is it's going to be a dogfight, and eventually you're going to have to run through a Charlotte Catholic or a Weddington or Myers Park or Lake Norman. I think Lake Norman's 5-1. I think their loss is to Davie. I think that was like the beginning of the year.
That's amazing because they did not look good at the Jamboree.
Yeah, I mean it's wild, man.
I know a team who would love another shot at Weddington.
Who's that?
I know a team that wants some Weddington.
West Forsyth.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that night both West Forsyth and Glenn, because Glenn was playing Chambers up the highway. I was impressed with both teams hanging the way they did on the road early, non-conference to do that. I was actually surprised both of those games were at 0-0 at halftime, and things just broke for the home teams. I did want to take a little bit of time to shine a little light on our player of the week, and it's from it's a player from a school who has a lot of tradition here in the Triad. We haven't had a chance to really spotlight them that much so far this season. But if you go to Max Preps or Google this kid's name and look at some of his huddle reels, you're just going to see a lot of times him just running down the field by himself with nobody in the frame. Our player of the week this week is Carver running back Jamari Blackburn. This dude's special, man. They've played 7 games. Carver's 4-3 for starting off, and they're 2-1 in conference. So for starters, that's huge for Carver to be relevant again in high school football in the area. I know there's a lot of Carver alumni that are out there that are excited about what Coach Wayne Griffin is doing with this program. But Jamari, dude, what are you eating for breakfast? Because he's got 1,367 yards in 7 games on the ground. He's averaging 10.8 yards a carry. He's averaging 195 yards a game. He's got 16 rushing touchdowns. This is all in 7 games. This dude's still got another 4 or 5 games to go. And in the way it's looking, I think Carver might actually get into the playoffs. With what they're doing,
I think if you were a Carver alum and haven't been paying attention and kind of fell out when they were, going 0 for the season and they went on hard times, you need to get back over there. Go back over there and support your alma mater because them being so much tradition at Carver, if they make it back to the playoffs, they need your support.
The Yellow Jacket Nation will be rocking over there, and they needed something to lift them up. Shout out to my guy Jamal Fowler, who is the new PA announcer over at Carver. He does a high school football poll every week in the Winston-Salem Chronicle. I've been trying to get him on the show. I got to catch up to him. He's just a busy dude, but he's all over the place. But yeah, I wanted to shout out Jamari. My cousin Demario was actually a coach over at Carver, and he had actually mentioned him about 3 weeks ago to me in a Facebook Messenger post. And I went to go check him out, and I was looking at his stats, and I was like, wait a minute, we've only played like 4 games. Like, how is this possible? And he just keeps racking up stuff. And Jamari, if you or any of your coaches are watching or listening to Wednesday Night Lights, I will be by Carver on Friday to give you your award. That's the Tobacco Road Sports Radio / Carolina Cobras player of the week. So we'll definitely get that to you before the week is over. Carver's actually on a bye this week, so they won't be playing. the games this week, we already touched on a little bit about that Grimsley Ragsdale contest. You're not expecting it to be a close game at all?
I expect Ragsdale to fight, and I expect Grimsley to win. But mostly, I expect to enjoy watching Alonzo Barnett and his fellow seniors shine. You know, he's got a bunch of new toys in those sophomore wide receivers. He's got Tyson Resper, who's also a senior, and he's going to deserve his. I hope somebody gives him his flowers on Friday night, because he has really made. I think he's going to Wtob. You know, all these kids have got themselves a ring. They're going to have a high school diploma, and they're going to get free college here. And that's saying something.
Yeah.
There's rumors in the air about you know, maybe some injuries and stuff surrounding that program, but you never know until Friday night. And I certainly don't know. I'm just looking forward to getting over to Jameson Stadium, and hopefully we'll have a good night. Hopefully the rain holds off, and hopefully I don't have to go get my partner any water at halftime, because that's a long walk.
It's a long walk. Me and, if I'm not mistaken, Coach Resignalo will be over at Mount Tabor doing Davy at Mount Tabor, and I'm trying to get a beat on this game because, again, the last time I saw Davy, they were losing big at home to East Forsyth, and then they've kind of fallen on hard times the past 2 weeks, giving up 50 points per game since then. They're taking on a Mount Tabor team that's coming off a COVID protocol. They didn't play last week. They're 1-1 in the conference. They're 2-1 at home. That one loss they had was the opening week against Richmond County in a wild game that me and actually Coach Regnaldo did, where Mount Tabor was down like 41-14 or something wild at the halftime, and then literally spent the entire second half chipping away at it and making it a game and coming back. Richmond was starting to cramp in the second half, and it kind of affected them team-wise, their quarterback, the running back, some defensive players, and literally Mount Tabor just kind of whittled away and just ran out of time. But normally Mount Tabor's known for their – yeah, there's a different team now. They're normally known for their defense, but they don't have Lance Patterson, who's out, if I'm not mistaken, for the year with a broken collarbone. And he's their best player. Yeah, he's their best player. So they've got Lamar Marshall's not so little boy to run the football, and that's what I expect. I expect that Noah Marshall will be running right through that line. Unless Davy has magically gotten their defense fixed, I expect Noah Marshall will be toting the rock. I'm sure they're going to lean on him heavy.
He was so impressive against Page, and now we know what Page is. I think they're going to. I think that Mount Tabor is going to play well. I think both teams will probably start a little sluggish. It's going to be imperative for the War Eagles to get on the board early with that offense of theirs, because they have all kinds of offensive weapons.
That seems to be the. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's going to be tough because Mount Tabor does have a lot of their guys on offense that play key roles on defense. So that's where you might have – it might be something to focus in on Friday night, because if Davy's offense can grind on Mount Tabor a little bit, they've got a shot. But the question for Davy is, how good can they be? Well, they're as good as their defense is going to allow them to be, because the offense can score.
Oh, yeah. They've proven that with Tate Carney and those kids. They can score in bunches. But I agree with you. If Davy gets down early, they seem like the type of team that it's hard for them to come back on teams, even with that offensive firepower, because of their defense. So if they get ahead and they play with a lead, it kind of starts to snowball, and then the defense can kind of pin their ears back and go. But if you put their defense in a pressure situation, you kind of make some things happen. That's an interesting game. Davy Mount Tabor's an interesting one.
You play possession football with handing the ball off to Marshall and then throwing, those short slants and the quick outs and that kind of thing to just keep the ball out of Davy offense's hands. Then I think you're well on your way to victory. But all that's out the window if Davy makes the right adjustments. So you're going to see a very good game.
Yeah,
I
do like
Ryan Stone.
I do like to see the offenses that throw the ball a lot in high school, and I don't even say throw the ball a lot, but incorporate it in their offense. Like, I don't like one-dimensional high school football teams, ones that just throw or ones that just run, because these defenses have gotten so sophisticated now that you can get shut down pretty quick if the other team's got athletes that can do it. You know, you got to be able to do both. And I've always said there's certain teams in this area, when they have a quarterback that can throw it, they're already good at running the ball, and everybody knows that. But if they have a quarterback that can throw the ball, they become even more dangerous. And I think we can put Glenn in that category now, where I mentioned it to Brett Wiseman in the booth on Friday. I'm pretty sure Camden Coleman has the strongest arm in the Central Piedmont Conference, and it's not even close. Like, when he came in, when he came in for that game versus West, it was almost like a game of one-upsmanship between the two coaches, where Coleman walks out as a captain in full dress for the coin toss, and then goes back to the sideline and doesn't start the game. Actually, they started off in like a wildcat type option without him out there. So we thought it was worthy. The junior quarterback was still out there because Camden hadn't played in 4 weeks. About 2 plays in, they bring Coleman back in. They're in the shadow of their end zone, basically. His heel is on the goal line, and he drops back and uncorks like a 50-foot or 50-yard just bomb down the field on his first throw in a month. And we just looked at each other like, oh, okay, Coleman's back in the game. And then he, like, literally the first 6 or 7 attempts he had, all of them were 30, 35, 40 yards out. And this kid's supposed to have a hurt AC joint or something like that. I was like, man, I can't think of another quarterback in the league right now. Maybe Alex Summers over at Davie, who has an arm that's that heavy that can get it down the field like that. What's the quarterback over at Reagan? What's his name? This year.
Hill's got himself
Cam Hill.
Strong,
he got a little arm.
A strong arm, but and he threw for like 5 touchdowns.
But see, this with Coleman though, it's different. You can tell sometimes when you see guys and it just happens like with ease. He's throwing this ball with ease, like 50 yards down the field. It's crazy, like how much Glenn's offense changed. Because once he came in, then they kind of started messing with Wes's defense, because they would do Wildcat for a little bit. And Chaney Fitzgerald, the wide receiver, was running the Wildcat, which we hadn't seen. They weren't running that when they played Chambers. So they've added that element since then. Their running game was doing okay. And then Coleman, like they were like alternate back and forth. And then it got to the point where they wouldn't take Coleman off the field. So like with Fitzgerald came in for the Wildcat, Coleman wouldn't leave the field. He would go over to wide receiver. He would just walk over to the right-hand side. And we kept waiting to see if they were going to throw it to him, because there was a couple times where he was open on those Wildcats, but they were running it the other direction anyway. If they played that game 10 times, 5 times Glenn wins it and 5 times Wes wins it, probably, just from what we saw on Friday night. And it just happened to be one of those times that Glenn won. Now we'll see what happens after that and see where they go. We got a long way to go, ladies and gentlemen, in high school football. October is going to decide a lot. And there's a lot of really good games coming up here in the month of October. Anything you want to leave them with, JP? Because I got to figure out how to get this first 15 minutes like out of here. The edit, and make sure everything's copacetic with that. Yeah,
that's what the editing software is for. Sorry about my my technology skills, but
nah, you all good, brother.
No, I think just tune in to pick a game. Go to Tobacco Road Sports Radio, pick a game. We'd love to have you, and no matter what happens, no matter what the score is, we're going to see some good athletes in the Triad Friday night.
Absolutely. So Friday night, if you're in Guilford County, you can tune it to 1320 AM WCOG, Grimsley versus Ragsdale, JP Mundy and Ryan Stone on the call there. If you want to listen to it wherever you are, just pick up your phone, go to tobaccoroadsportsradio.com, scroll down to the secondary COG player, and you can hear it there in its entirety. Over in Forsyth County on WTOB, 980 AM or 96.7 FM, we will have Davie County visiting Mount Tabor. That's myself, Coach Josh Resignalo from the Carolina Cobras. That kickoff's at 7. I believe your kickoff is at 7:30, if I'm not mistaken, JP. So I think all the CPC games are starting at 7, and I think all the Metro games are at 7:30. So they gave an option of where they wanted to begin some of these. So got another packed slate on Friday. So definitely check us out there. And then, of course, A&T football on Saturday on Tobacco Road Sports Radio as well. So we are your home for Triad Sports. Thanks for joining us tonight. Go check out our sponsor right there, Taste of the Triad, 4320 Old Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem. Some of the best soul food you can get in the Triad. Shout out to Sabrina Wingo for the hospitality and sponsoring Friday Night Lights, or Wednesday Night Lights, and everything else that we're doing at Tobacco Road. But we're gonna get out of here. I know JP's probably got some kids running around. I know mine will run around someplace too, so we gotta go find them and make sure they're fed.
Soccer field somewhere.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get out of here, but we will talk to you guys Friday. Come to the fair on Thursday and check us out. Live taping of franchise players. Yeah, WTOB's booth over. He said it's near the clock tower. So just wander around with a elephant ear or something and come ask us a question. We'll see you later this week.